Hello everybody, this is Tim, and this will be sort of a, I guess, recap of the convention I just went to. There's a small convention north of here in Butler, Pennsylvania that I go to, well I have been going to twice a year. When the baby comes, I'm not sure how that's going to work. Well, not sure how a lot of things are going to work, so hopefully I'll figure that out as things progress. But I got to play in one game, which was a 2nd edition AD&D game. And I had a lot of fun. The GM pretty much asked us what options we would like to play with, because the game itself was kind of a toolkit. And after he figured that out, he's like, okay. And he ran through a short adventure, and I guess it's supposed to be like a living campaign where you can have the same characters and come back for future sessions. So that was pretty fun. Then I got to run 3 of my games. I was going to try to play more, but I wasn't able to get Sunday off, so I had to work yesterday. But I got to run 2 2nd edition AD&D games. One, well, I guess both of them pretty much dealt with beholders. Now, these are the modules called Eye of Pain and Eye of Doom that I talked about. And I really have to give Eye of Pain a lot of credit. The maps in that module are pretty amazing because instead, like your normal dungeon crawl, it's all horizontal. And in Eye of Pain, it's very vertical. And there's not a lot of choices to make because it's kind of a one-shot. There's a little bit of railroad tracks in there because you have a 4-hour time limit. But I really listened to the characters, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, the vertical nature, like the up and down nature of the dungeon was really amazing. And all of the dungeon was pretty much made by beholders. So there are these spherical rooms, spherical shafts leading up and down, spherical tunnels leading horizontally. So one of the players said, every time I would describe something as being a sphere or a circle, it started getting the creeps. It's like, and they just said, they don't know if they're going to be able to go into a round room again without thinking of this module. And I had a pile of characters, and they all sat down, and I told them, we've got a pile of characters here, so if you die, which you probably will, you can take another character. And I kind of like to have a lot of fun with one-shots. The idea of killing characters is, generally like a bad way to think about things. But in one-shots, if you go in expecting that, it's kind of like playing in a Call of Cthulhu one-shot. You know you're going to go crazy. It's just a matter of when. And when you go into a one-shot dealing with beholders, you're going to die, maybe multiple times, multiple characters are going to die. So you go in expecting that, and you can have a lot of fun with it. I also made the characters, I chose, certain races that had higher saving throws, better saving throws. So, I kind of prepared for that a little bit. But anyway, so the players pretty much are terrified of spherical or cylindrical shafts leading up and down after this adventure. So that was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of laughter going around. And a couple of the people after the games, wanted to get my contact information. So that's always good to hear. I like when people have a lot of fun, and I try to incorporate lots of fun into my games. Sometimes I'm not as serious as I'd like to be. I tend to crack jokes, and I don't know. I just enjoy myself, and I like when other people enjoy themselves as well. So I guess that's just my style, or part of my style. So I ran those 2 modules, and another thing that happened, the second group didn't actually get to play in the first module. I figured most people were going to play both of them, but that didn't actually turn out to be the case. In fact, nobody who played the first one played the second one. So for the second one, I just plan to run the first module again, because I really think Eye of Pain is a little bit better than Eye of Doom. And there's actually, I think it's Eye to Eye is the third one, but I didn't get a chance to run that one. So I just ran the first module again. And the second group was so efficient that they went through that module probably about an hour and a half, what took the first group 4 hours to get through. The first group was a lot more cautious, and the second group was much more, I don't know, they were just more intuitive. They knew which options to take. They just picked faster ways of doing things. So, it was kind of cool, actually, because the second group ran through the first module, and then I'm like, okay, we have a bunch of time left. I'm going to run the second module like I originally had planned to. And in the second module, they did the exact same thing. there was this part where they were, they had the option of fight the Thieves Guild or work with the Thieves Guild. And they kind of surprised me. They just said, oh yeah, sure, we'll go to your big boss headquarters and we'll talk to the Faceless Man. That's not a problem. So I just flipped through the adventure and I was like, don't need this homeless guy, don't need this informant, don't need these encounters. And I pretty much just flipped to the back of the module because they went through it so fast. And I know I've heard other GMs say, well, they'll just incorporate that stuff later. But I pretty much told them I'm running the module as is, with my own little tweaks here and there and just role-playing. And I showed the players. I'm like, okay, you see all this crap? Yeah, you're not going to face any of that stuff. Good choice. So they got to finish both modules in 4 hours, which should have taken probably 8 hours worth of time. So they were pretty pleased by that. And the best quote that came out of running those 2 modules was one of the players was looking at the clock because I think the game ended at 6 and it was like 5:45. He's like, "Oh man, we gotta face the Beholder." It's like, "Oh, this isn't. We're gonna be sitting here until the next slot." I told him it doesn't take very long to fight Beholders, and he kind of looked at me like, and he just started laughing. He's like, "That's a great quote," because people usually die, or characters usually die. But they actually ended up killing the big bad guy Beholder, and it was a good time. I had a great time. The last game that I ran was Hunter the Reckoning. Now, this is Hunter for the old World of Darkness, or classic World of Darkness, however you like to call it. And the whole idea for this module was based upon that old picture. Go back in my videos and look at the creepy old picture. It actually had a couple video responses where I literally went into a used, kind of like a thrift store, an antique store, and I found this old photo album with really old paper that if you fold it, the paper cracks. It's very like manila, it's sort of brownish in color, the pages. And there was only one picture in the entire album, and that's the one that has like this woman holding a small infant on this beat-up old porch, and there's this doorway behind her, and I don't know if it's just a mix-up in how they took the picture or whatever, but there was like white stuff over her face, and it looked like there was like somebody pointing a finger through the middle of her body. All the picture was messed up except for the child, and the doorway had some like dark shapes, and there was like stuff oozing down from the top. And I based the whole adventure just on that photo album. That picture. I just thought that was amazing, and I scared the shit out of one of my players. I think she actually cried at one point just because of some of the horrific things that I did in the basically the horrific things that happened in the past that caused the house they were investigating, because that's where I had this photo album. The stuff in the past just kept them all there. And the basic gist of it was that something horrible happened to this infant. It was kidnapped, and then the woman and the man that kidnapped the infant kidnapped the parents as well and killed them and buried them just outside of the house. So there was the ghost of the mother, the real father. Then the mother and father that kidnapped the baby. The mother just couldn't handle it, the screaming and crying, and she ends up killing the infant when it's about 3 years of age. And as a 3-year-old tragic figure, a ghost, it almost acted more like a poltergeist. It was just nasty because it just didn't understand really much of anything. It was, it was actually keeping the rest of the people from leaving, and it was repeating the pattern over and over again, where the mother died, the real mother died first, and the real father, and then it died. So woman, man, child, and then it did the same thing to the people that kidnapped it. It killed the woman first, the woman that killed it, and then it killed the father. And the father was basically the one that was keeping everything hidden, burying people, putting people on the floors, putting people on the walls. But it was the incident where I described the player had a vision of what happened to the infant, and it was basically smashed against a wall repetitively until it died. And there was like a black stain on the wall where that happened. And that was pretty much like the heart of the house, I guess you could say. But so all this nasty stuff happens. The kidnappers get killed by the child, the infant ghost, the 3-year-old infant ghost. So those two spirits are trapped in there. So what's fun about Hunter the Reckoning is that you can give players vague tips the entire time, because they get messages from messengers. And those messengers, you don't really know what they are. God, aliens, people have different theories or whatever. But it was a lot of fun. The girl that I made cry said it was one of the most memorable RPGs she's ever played in, and she really felt strong emotions from playing it. And at first I felt like an ass because I made her cry at one point, just because how horrific it was. But to affect someone on an emotional level like that at the same time made me feel like, wow, I'm doing my job. She knew it was going to be a haunted house. She likes Hunter the Reckoning, and for her it seemed like she really enjoyed it, and it really affected her. I don't know, she just had fun, so it was memorable. Several points in the thing, I brought that prop, I brought the actual photo, and I think it was the actual photo. The girl looked at it, and she just totally got freaked out by it. She's like, did you get like an eraser and do anything to this photo? It's like, no, that's a real photo, that's the real photo album. And it was just a prop that, as soon as they broke into the house, that was the first thing they saw. And the book would fly around, pages, they did rituals over it to, exorcise the spirits. And I actually ripped up one of the pages into tiny pieces, and I threw it in the air. And other games around us were looking at us like, you better clean that up. But it totally fit what was happening in the story, and I know the players really enjoyed just having, pieces of old, manila colored paper just flutter down from the ceiling. So yeah, I really had a good time. It was interesting to see how the characters tried to exorcise or kick out the spirits that were in the house to solve what was going on, because there were some red herrings as well. People who had moved into the house afterwards had died, but their spirits weren't held there because their story wasn't as tragic. The infant killed them, but the infant really didn't have anything against them, so it let them go. But yeah, overall I had a good time. Just a couple shout outs at the end here. I'm trying to grow this mustache, goatee thing, and I'm not very good at growing facial hair. I think when I was made, they put hair follicles in a shotgun and just shot them in my face, so it's always like real, I don't know, patchy, I guess. But yeah, Master of Flowers, your beard is amazing. But that's pretty much it. I will talk to you guys soon.